This is ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Speedweek is brought to you by Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation, proud sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team.
It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who strives valiantly, who knows the great enthusiasms, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. I'm Dave Despain. It is my privilege and pleasure to host a special edition of Speedweek as we review the 1991 Winston Cup Stock Car Banquet. We open the program with the music, Fanfare for the Common Man, and the words of Teddy Roosevelt, who wrote of the men in the arena, the men who dared greatly. The arena, of course, is Winston Cup Stock Car Racing, and daring begins at 190 miles an hour. The ultimate achievement is to come here to the Big Apple and pick up a check for $1 million, and that is an uncommon achievement indeed. Joining us this evening as we review all of the excitement of this evening, a man who has indeed not forgotten where to get hold of a good hat. The 1973 Winston Cup champion, our ESPN analyst, Benny Parsons. Benny, it's been quite a night, quite a weekend.
Quite a weekend. This has just been great. You know, sometimes we complain about coming to New York and the expense and what have you, but sitting here tonight and watching this hall in New York City and seeing Earnhardt walk off with $1 million, over $1 million, pretty impressive.
I thought that Dale Earnhardt said one thing tonight that was perhaps most memorable, and that is that as he picked up his 5th championship check, no matter how many titles he or anyone else wins, Richard Petty remains the king of this sport. It is a measure of how far this sport has come indeed, as we see Richard Petty tonight standing by on the stage with the man who hosted this evening's banquet, our Speedweek host, Bob Jenkins.
Thank you very much, Dave. The king is with me, and he won 7 Winston Cup championships. It's been a while since you've been up here, and we were just talking. It's a little bit different perspective looking out on the audience.
Yeah, it's a lot better from this angle looking out than it is from out there looking up, I'll tell you that. But I've been real fortunate. I've been on both sides of the table, and like I say, it's a whole lot better to be up here, but I know how hard it is to get up here, so I appreciate all what these boys had to do to get here.
And it gets harder and harder every year, doesn't it?
Well, it gets harder for me. Don't look like it gets any harder for them, but I don't know that it gets any harder. It's just getting away from me more than what it did. I'll put it that way.
Fan Appreciation Tour 1992. A year from now, we'll be saluting you for the final time as a competitor. What are your feelings at this time? Is that going to be a pleasant experience, or is it going to be something that you kind of dread doing?
Well, I got mixed emotions, okay? I don't want to do this, but then on the other hand, I got to have sense enough to know that I got to do something like this. And I didn't want to get into a situation where I run my last race, got out and said, hey, guys, see y'all, thank you, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I could stop cold turkey. I think if I can sort of wind it down a little bit for a whole year, I think I'll be able to handle it. But I think at the first part of the year, I don't think we'll have any trouble. It's the next time when we go around to the second time at all the racetracks, and this is the last time you're going to run Daytona or the last time you're going to run Charlotte or Martinsville, then I think it'll start catching up with me.
Now, you've won 7. Dale picked up his 5th tonight. First of all, do you think he can catch you? And if he does, will it mean anything to you?
Well, it won't mean anything to me. It might mean something to him. You know, you got to look at it that Dale's very capable of winning the championship. So is a lot of other people. If Dale had had a year last year like he had this year, he wouldn't have won the championship last year. Someone else would have won it. So it's not how good you do, you know, over a period of time. It's how good you do that year. You know, and of course it's good what you do over the years too. But, you know, you've got to compete against those people in that race, and that's a 29 lap race, okay? And if you can beat them in 29 races, then you win the championship, and that's what he done this year. But they've got a championship team. They know how it's done. They know how to put it together. They don't get rattled when things don't go right, and that happens to a lot of teams. So, you know, what I like about Dale and the way he's been able to win championships is he wins championships winning races. And being I've won 7 championships, and I look at it, that's the way I was lucky enough to be able to win them. When somebody says you're champion, I want him to be champion. I want him to run for the thing, win the championship by winning. And then if Earnhardt wins 10 of them, as long as he runs like he does, then I'll feel proud of my 7.
I'm going to do a little backpacking here, but he said yesterday, Dale said yesterday, that regardless of how many he wins, you're still going to be the king. And believe me, truer words were never spoken, and we appreciate everything you've done for the sport of stock car racing over the years.
Well, I appreciate everything everybody's done for me, and all I'm trying to do is repay what the benefits that I've been able to accomplish for 35 years.
He's the king, Richard Petty. Dave?
A man whose career spans the growth of this sport from those dusty dirt tracks to what has truly become a remarkable showcase. Going to hate to see him go.
I'm going to hate to see him go. He was talking about going to that racetrack the last time, you know, but Daytona. How about the Daytona 500? You know, I mean, the Pepsi 400 is the last time he's going to be at Daytona International Speedway. Not quite the same as the Daytona 500, where he's had so much success.
There'll be a lump in his throat, I guarantee you.
Man.
A lump in the throat of about 150,000 fans, plus the millions of Americans tuned in. We've got a whole lot more from the Waldorf Astoria. It's the 91 Winston Cup Stock Car Banquet. Stick with us.
Speedweek is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. And by Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation, proud sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team.
Warning, up to half of all engine wear can happen when you start your car. At this critical time, tests prove Quaker State 10W30 protects better than any other leading 10W30 motor oil. In an overwhelming majority of engine tests, Quaker State 10W30 flowed faster to all vital parts. In all size engines tested, Quaker State protected faster, so it protected better. Get the best protection against startup wear. Today's Quaker State, it's one tough motor oil.
These are remarkable cars, and I've left all this space to show you why. First, Dodge Spirit and Plymouth Acclaim are the lowest priced 6-passenger cars in the world, even with an airbag and all the goodies you see here. But okay, you want to spruce it up, so you start adding options: air, automatic, 4-speaker stereo. When you're through, you'll find that Spirit and Acclaim, with all this, are still the lowest priced 6-passenger cars on the planet.
Now, drive for the gold with up to $1,000 cash back on select cars.
Welcome back to the Waldorf Astoria, the Winston Cup Stock Car Gentry spending the weekend in New York City. Traditionally, one of the big events of this weekend is the NASCAR press conference. Typically, there are important topics, important announcements being made. Last year, you may recall here, the big topic of controversy was the somewhat controversial pit rules that were Astoria all year long. This year, they held the press conference, but things were a wee bit different. This year, the big NASCAR news conference was notably lacking in news.
Compared to some years, maybe particularly last year, we're not announcing that much today.
France said despite the recession, NASCAR's economic indicators are all up. And then he surrendered the spotlight to the likes of Bill Elliott. Bill didn't crack the Cup top 10 this year, but he was #1 with the fans. How's this for news? Bill Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver for the 6th time.
I've got to say, this has been a trying year for me. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of things happen, but I really appreciate all the fans out there that supported me throughout the year.
There was one bit of suspense here. Remember last year's Busch Clash? Dale Earnhardt blowing him away at Daytona to open the Winston Cup season? Well, this year, Dale didn't even win a pole. His only chance to make the race and thus defend his crown was this spin of the wheel yesterday here at the Waldorf. No luck, Earnhardt. Chad Little gets the wild card. He'll be the 15th starter in the '92 Clash. Nonetheless, the 5-time Winston Cup champion was clearly the star of this press conference. Dale talked about Richard Petty's all-time record of 7 Winston Cup titles.
I look forward to more championships. I don't know whether we'll ever tie Richard's record of 7, and he'll always be king whether we do or don't. I've learned a lot from that man, and I think he's brought Winston Cup racing to where it is today. And you know, it's just going to be sad to see him retire after next year. Maybe we'll win the championship next year.
And bottom line, at risk of making this too personal, we thought the big news at this press conference was the presentation of the Buddy Schumann Award for outstanding service to the sport of stock car racing. How about it, folks? Recognize that profile?
How about that?
I have one word to say, my friend. Congratulations from all of us at ESPN.
That was awesome. You know, for years and years, you do this, and you want to make a difference. You know, you want to make a difference, of winning 7 championships or 5 championships or win $1 million or whatever. And, you know, I won a championship, won a Daytona 500, but you wonder, did I ever make a difference? And yesterday, some people told me that somewhere along the line, I've made a difference, and it was super.
Let me assure you, my friend, you have made a difference. It's a privilege, and I'm proud to stand here beside you this evening. We want to meet another man who has made a tremendous difference over the years in the sport of stock car racing. Years may be the punchline to this story, as we meet the man who tonight was honored with the NASCAR Award of Excellence. Let's go back to the floor and Bob Jenkins.
Before we get to Herschel McGriff, BP, even I admit that you have been a major contributor to the sport of auto racing, and we love you for it.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Herschel McGriff won the NASCAR Award of Excellence. We won that thing a couple of years ago, and I was caught totally off guard. In fact, I was in the bathroom moments before the thing was handed out. You were caught off guard, too, weren't you?
Well, I was really caught off guard. You know, Bill France and Ken Clapp of the Western Division asked if I'd just like to come out and see what was going on back here at the Winston Cup banquet. So I was just enjoying all the festivities the last couple of days, so it caught me total by surprise. Really didn't know what to say.
This man, believe it or not, is, what, 63 years old, and you've been driving race cars for how long?
Well, I drove my first race in Portland, Oregon, September 16th, 1945.
Amazing.
So I was 17 then.
And you drove in the first Southern 500 in 1950. You've competed on just about every kind of course there is. You've competed on the dirt. You've competed on the beach. You have competed on street circuits. You've competed on ovals. You must love racing.
Well, I really do, and I think the award tonight, of course, was very touching because probably what's kept me in the racing is all the people that I've been associated with over the years that have been like here to the banquet, and of course all the fans that follow us around. I've had a real following, and you know, I just enjoy what I'm doing. And so who knows, when I retire from working, you know, I'll have more time to race.
I don't want to catch you off guard, but there's any story that you can think of about racing in the early days, maybe on the beach or with some of the guys that started this thing that has evolved to what it is tonight?
Well, I think, you know, most of the drivers, now like Dale Earnhardt, when he first started, you know, I drove a backup car for him when he won his first championship, 1980 in Ontario. You know, there's several firsts that I've had over the years. I'm probably the only NASCAR driver that won driving a foreign car, a Jaguar. Back in 1954, they allowed foreign cars for a couple of races. And of course, I was able to go to Le Mans with one of the first NASCAR stock cars. And there's been a lot of firsts over the years. You know, I used to get in a car in Portland, Oregon, drive the race car across the United States, take the headlights out, drive it in the race, put the headlights in, and drive car home. So, you know, it's a lot different now. So I've seen an exceptional amount of history, you know, before all my racing time. So there's a lot of stories. I think probably one of the most things I enjoyed the most was at the last race at Riverside. I was not only in the race, but I was the Grand Marshal. And I think that's always been a touching situation with me to have that honor.
You're not thinking about retiring, are you?
Oh, no, I'm not thinking about retiring. I still like what I do. Of course, I run Winston West. Of course, we get to run with the Cup guys a couple times a year. And it still feels good. As long as I can be competitive, well, I'm going to hang in there.
Herschel, congratulations on winning the NASCAR Award of Excellence. Well deserved.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we will be back with more from the Waldorf Astoria here on an edition of Speed Week in just a moment.
Christmas time at Quintex means savings on Bell Atlantic car phones. From now till December 31st, purchase a brand new Bell Atlantic CMT 410 installed cellular car phone for a new low price of just $149. And get this, sign up on one of Bell Atlantic's business plans and get $60 in credits over the next 12 months. Only at Quintex, Bell Atlantic Mobile Systems Agent of the Year. Quintex. Call today, 856-8695, 856-8695.
The thought of a child without any gifts on Christmas morning was just unbearable to me. Some families can't afford much, so I decided I had to do something to help. You see, I'm a mother too, so I know how the little things can make all the difference. It takes so little to give so much. Please give to Toys for Tots.
Sunday night. It's been a tough weekend. Yeah, it's not easy bringing home the bacon.
Especially when you could be the bacon.
So what's on TV? How about some Sunday night NFL on ESPN?
Yeah, let's watch them toss around the old pigskin.
Don't say pigskin.
Sunday night NFL on ESPN. Hey, boys, let's pig out. America, let's pig out ESPN. Want some pork rinds?
Oh, Dad. Here you go.
The streets of the Big Apple a-glitter in anticipation of Christmas, but we in the racing fraternity hear the rumor that those streets might resound to the noise of racing engines. Bob Jenkins, diligent Speedweek reporter, went looking for the facts, and Bob, I understand you didn't have much luck.
Well, that's right, Dave. You know, the story is that the Meadowlands IndyCar race may be moved to a street course in southern Manhattan around the World Trade Center. We've heard those rumors now for several months. We tried to talk to somebody about that. However, they told us that the negotiations are now in very critical stages, and it would not be appropriate for them to comment on whether that race is going to be held at this time. And apparently there's another group of people that have quit talking to each other. Indianapolis Motor Speedway President Tony George has apparently ended his discussions with CART Board Chairman Will Stokan over who will control IndyCar racing for the next few years. In last Friday's Indianapolis Star, George was quoted as saying CART can run its 16 races, and who knows, maybe someday that race in New York City might be the biggest one on its schedule. But no matter what we choose to do, I don't think CART is going to like the alternatives. Now, since we have been here, we have learned that there may be another counterproposal from Bill Stokan, so this story may go on and on, Dave.
All right, Bob, and I know you'll stay with it on Speedweek. Incidentally, Stokan and George were both VIPs who did lunch today at the exclusive 21 Club here in Manhattan, but the guest of honor for that rather prestigious get-together was the CART PPG IndyCar champion, young hero by the name of Michael Andretti. Kai Kyler, racing patron, hosted an A-list of motorsports dignitaries for the Driver of the Year presentation. Past winners, corporate heavyweights, racing movers and shakers broke bread together. And then they honored Richard Petty with the first ever Lifetime Achievement Award, named for Chris Economaki. Chris, by the way, is the one without the sunglasses. Driver of the Year award went by unanimous choice of a panel of racing experts. The first recipient of that award 25 years ago was all puffed up with pride.
Well, I just sit up here, you know, with my chest, spitting my buttons on my shirt. I mean, these are some of the things that, just fantastic.
Mario Andretti then presented Driver of the Year honors to his son, Michael.
For our family, my father now, he was the one that won the first award, and he's won it in the last 3 decades at least once, and now we have an Andretti in the 90s, so it's really special, and it's one of those dream years that I did have, and this just helps top it all off.
Great season, great continuation of the family tradition for the Andretti clan. Congratulations to Michael Andretti. We'll be back with more on Speedweek after this timeout.
Now available, all the thrills and excitement of NASCAR with NASCAR Video Magazine. The history of America's greatest race, the Daytona Experience. Profiles of the best behind the wheel in the top 10 drivers of all time. Feel what it's like to be a pro with the NASCAR Fantasy. Go behind the scenes and in the pits in a week in the life of a race team. Collect all 4 NASCAR videos. Exclusive footage not available anywhere else. Each $19.95, all 4 $59.95. Call now.
Today, Tech-Tread Shoe Corporation announced a major retail expansion in 25 U.S. cities.
When I see a company that looks like a good investment, I check it out myself.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
At Charles Schwab, I can get quotes, financial news, and when I make a trade, commission savings.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
Ground transportation arranged through General Rent-A-Car, where free, unlimited mileage and quality Chrysler cars are just 2 of the reasons people on the move are racing to General.
Let's leave the Waldorf Astoria long enough to review some honest-to-goodness racing highlights. USAC Midget Championship Battle went to the West Coast for 2 deciding races. You saw it all season on Saturday Night Thunder. Going into the last 2 rounds, Stevie Reeves led Mike Stryker by 11 points. They went to the 51st annual running of the Turkey Night Classic at Saugus, California. The winner of the race was Stan Fox. From there was into the series finale at El Centro, and that's where Gary Lee, my Saturday Night Thunder sidekick, picks it up.
Reeves led Stryker by only 4 points going into Saturday's finale at the Imperial Speedway. Each has taken his own different route to the championship.
I've ran about every different kind of car you could be in, and you know, I've had a pretty good season. I've struggled a little bit on this last swing out here on the West Coast. The luck just hadn't been on my side, but you know, we got 1 race left and we got a slim lead over Mike, and we'll just see what happens.
Working on my own car, and I know what I've got, what I'm sitting in, and Steve's driving different race cars, so every time he gets in a car it's a little different, and he has to work with the people and get used to them and that. So the only one I have to worry about is myself and make sure my dad gets the fuel in the car and gets her to the racetrack.
During hot laps, Reeves ran over the rear wheel of Keith Roush, sending him into the wall, badly damaging the right front corner of the car. What's Stevie to do? Randy Roberts offers him his car, and Reeves qualifies it 15th fastest. However, at the end of the 3rd heat race, watch the left portion of your screen. The car on fire is Reeves. The car flipping is Jordan Hermansader. Hermansader wasn't injured, but for Reeves, a blown engine meant his 2nd car was through for the evening. Stryker, meanwhile, was having much better luck, starting the feature from outside row 3. His fast qualifying time had moved him into the points lead before racing ever got underway. On the tail of the field, it's Reeves in Jimmy Sill's car, his 3rd of the evening. Stryker was running 2nd early in the race, but slid high, dropping several positions as P.J. Jones and Wally Pancratz got past. The final blow for Reeves came on lap 3 when he flipped. He was uninjured, but the year-long championship battle was over. Pancratz won the race, while Stryker finished 6th and joined the long and illustrious list of USAC National Midget Champions.
It's great. I mean, I'm so happy I'm crying. It's been a long way for my mom and dad and me, and a long year, and I hated to see it happen to Stevie, but, you know, we've all had some hard breaks this year, and it was, I don't know, it's great.
Well, that wraps it up from here, Dave. I think you look great in that tuxedo. Have fun in New York.
I like your suspenders, too, Lee. Good to see you, and congratulations to Mike Stryker. Coming up next week on Speed Week, the Don Garlits story. How about Big Daddy? Big blowover at Spokane, Washington 4 years ago. That caused the legend of Top Fuel drag racing to climb out of the cockpit. But Big is coming back this weekend at the Snowbird Nationals in Bradenton, Florida, and we'll have the story on Speed Week. Big Daddy coming out of retirement yet again. Just too good to quit. Also, we're going to have IMSA President Mark Raffoff speaking to the rumors that IMSA may be for sale. That's all next week at 11 o'clock on Friday night on Speed Week.
Dodge Daytonas now start at under $11,000 and go all the way up to 149 miles an hour. Introducing the new Dodge Daytona IROC RT. 224 horses, 16 valves, and 0 to 60 in 6.7 seconds. And now get air conditioning at no extra charge on selected Daytonas.
Had this doozy of a sore throat. Know what my doc suggested? Chloroseptic. I actually felt the pain go away in seconds.
Because Chloroseptic penetrates on contact for fastest relief, more doctors say Chloroseptic spray.
Hi, I'm Chris Berman. Join us later today at noon Eastern Time for NFL Game Day. We'll look at that fabulous Philadelphia defense as they go in to play the Giants. The Raiders seeking revenge against the Buffalo Bills, and the Saints try to right their listing ship.
Speedweek has been brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you, friends know when to say when. Most of the historic video seen on Speedweek is courtesy of Dick Wallen's Racing Classics.
Sum up this evening at the Waldorf Astoria this way. Red Byron won $1,250 for the 1948 championship. Dale Earnhardt's check, $1,101,620. Penny Parsons, it's a cliche, but we have come a long way.
Well, almost exactly 1,000 times as far as when we first started.
Bob Jenkins, you were superb tonight as Banquet host. Did you have a good time?
I sure did. Enjoyed it very much, and thanks for filling in the anchor position on Speedweek.
My pleasure to be here this evening with Benny Parsons and Bob Jenkins. $1 million for Dale Earnhardt, the driver, Richard Childress, the car owner, and we have every reason to believe that the team will have a very Merry Christmas. We'll see you next year with Winston Cup Stock Car Racing on ESPN.
Santa Claus, I knew Dale and Richard promised to take us to the Bahamas if we won the championship, but a new 100,000 square foot shop would work out just fine.
Now that we're getting a new shop, looks like I could at least get a motorized hauler. That's not too much to ask for, is it, Santa Claus?
Oh, no. Gee, Santa, I'm so happy we won the championship. Richard's promised me a new wind tunnel. Gosh, I'm so happy.
Santa, with all this new money coming in, I'm sure looking forward to riding in that new Learjet Dale promised us.
Santa, Richard and Dale said that if we could beat Harry at North Wilkesboro, that he'd have Harry build us all new homes. So I was thinking, maybe something like a nice split level on Lake Norman. Boy, that'd make me so happy.
Santa, looks like Dale and Richard are going to get off pretty easy this year. In order for them to keep their promises, it's only a grand total of $28 million. Oh, Santa, we are so happy.
Santa, all I care about is making sure we have enough goodies for my hangover after that party night, because you know I'm going to be happy.
I'm going to say it just one more time here. Santa Claus, he's coming to town.
Oh, Santa, we're so happy.